So, welcome back to our live stream for Invent for a Planet 2020. Well, I'm Tony Hill, and this my co-host Andrew Behar.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to be here.
So, we are here with a couple of updates on what's going on in today's event. So, this year, participants have already set up their teams, and there are 14 thematic areas, on which are four teams have already chosen one each. And just to mention a few problems that our participants must try to solve, it is no surprise the majority have chosen to solve the issues involving the bush fires that happen in Australia. Well, Andrew, what do you think about it?
Well, I'm glad to hear that the students have chosen this topic. They are getting involved in real issues revolving around our world today.
Yeah, well, we also heard a lot about how to stop distracted pedestrians from getting injured, and just like me. So, what's your opinion of that?
Yeah, it is very exciting to hear that this is being worked on. We know that there are a lot of cell phone users that fall under the risk of getting into serious car accidents. Yeah, there are some issues that are similar to the last year's.
Yeah, so speaking of last year's competitions, can you tell us about the prior editions, man?
Yeah. Last year's edition of Invent for the Planet, the University of Rio de Janeiro in Brazil took the first place prize designing a two-part sensor system that could assist the blind and visually impaired.
I didn't know it.
In the second place, Texas A&M designed a water filtration system and transportation system which could benefit developing countries who don't have access to clean water.
Okay.
This filtration system includes a durable water tank that filters while it is rolled across the ground. The filtration system uses natural objects such as stones and gravel, which make it affordable to many other products on the market. Third place went to Santry University in the UK, which created an app that promotes in-person social engagement and activities to tackle preventing loneliness.
Wow, Andrew, that's so interesting. I mean, I'm sure that this type of level of innovation we can expect from people that is right now working on. But what about previous UPY proposals in past event of Invent for the Planet?
Well, I'll tell you a little bit about the history of UPY's participation in Invent for the Planet. 2 years ago, our university won third place worldwide with a project called Barrio Sonrisas, and these guys designed a fully sustainable park. Unfortunately, in last year's edition, the team chosen to represent the university didn't win. They made a platform called Switch Learning that consists in providing supervised learning for young children. Their idea was amazing. You should have seen it.
Okay, as you may notice, on last year's Invent for the Planet, we're focusing more on problems affecting different social and marginalized groups. But in this year's was exception. In this year edition, we are working with environmental issues, which concerns all of us. Why? Because I'm sure you can remember that past few years, the worst type of causalities just strike the world, like the fires on LA and Australia. Very high level of carbon emissions we have been experiencing during the last years, and air travel and contamination, ocean pollution, and of course, I'm sure you all familiar with global warming. And one particular element taking part in climate changes is the plastic industry and single-use plastics, which I believe we haven't learned that recycling is always the way to go. So, what do you think, guys? Think about a single-use plastic items.
As we know, plastic waste is very harmful to our environments. Many activists have already taken the stand to use zero waste. Yeah. I'm glad that this year's edition will talk about this.
Okay. So, yeah, I'm sure in this year we were going to win. And I have a good feeling about this because we have here some of our best students that were chosen because of something, who will be staying here working non-stop to try to solve the problematics and try to make the world we live in a little better.
Now, let's take a look at what our teams have been doing so far.
Yeah, Ben, after watching the video, yeah, so we will have an interview with the principal of the Universidad Politécnica de Yucatán, Dr. Gildardo Sánchez Sante. So stay tuned and keep watching us. Welcome again, everybody. right now, as you can see, we are with the principal of UPY, Dr. Gildardo Sanchez Sante. So please welcome him, and thank you, Dr. Gildardo, to be here with us. It's an honor for me again, have you once here. And so I'm going to ask you some questions. They're going to be brief. And the first is, what is your point of view on this year's problematics?
Well, I think that all the problems that have been stated for this edition of the Invent for the Planet are very interesting and challenging ones. And that is good because they represent real problems that we are facing in the world. And since they are also challenging, it requires like a lot of creativity from the teams in order to propose solutions for them, and it will allow us to see many different alternatives to solve the problems, I believe.
Well, thank you very much. Our second question would be, uh, I'm sorry. What would you consider as the main challenges the teams are going to face while developing the solutions?
For what I have seen, particularly after this first presentation of the teams, is that we think too technologically. We are, of course, a technologically based university, and that means that in many times we believe that it is the technology the answer to all the problems, and it might not be the case. So we have to open our mind, we have to consider also other options, and we have to consider that sometimes the best solution for the problem doesn't require technology, at least not very advanced technology. And that is a challenge for us, being engineers and being passionate about the technology and using it all the time. I think that is going to be the biggest challenge.
I agree.
So yeah, we have just seen that the students just presented the first approach about what they are going to do, and well, the third question is about what are your expectations for this Invent for the Planet 2020 edition.
Well, my expectations is that, or they are, I would like to see like creative solutions that might be out of the box. In some cases, probably by using technology, but not necessarily. And what I also think is going to happen is that the teams are going to grow a lot, not only on the way of discussing problems, but also reaching consensus about the possible solutions. And that is an added value for the teams and the preparation as engineers. And I think that is going to be very important for us.
Okay. Fourth question. What do you think is the key factor to succeed in an activity like this one?
Well, I think that the most important aspect here, particularly in this moment in which the teams are still discussing, they already reached an agreement on what problem each team wants to face or try to solve. But now the following step is discussing many possible options to solve the problem, probably deciding for one or two hypotheses that may solve the problem, and then work following a structure in order to reach like a well-prepared solution. So that is, I think, that the most important part, teams agreeing on something.
Okay.
Yeah, that's actually true because they need to follow a methodology in order to have, well, at least success. So the last question, well, we know that UPY has these degrees of disruptive technologies, And how do you, Doctor, think this plays as an advantage to solve things like smart cities or fake news?
Okay. What I think is that our specialization into technological aspects of engineering can be an advantage or maybe our sin too. Um, there are some problems in the ones that are suggested by the Invent for the Planet challenge that might be like more suitable to be solved through the technology. At the end, the technology is just a tool to solve something. And some others may involve other disciplines like human interaction or sociology, anthropology, public policy, and some other things. So if we identify those problems that might be better suited to be solved by using technology, then we are going to have an advantage. And if we go into some other problems that may go into different areas that we don't cover at UPY, it might be probably our disadvantage because we will try to use the technology just because we know how to use technology in order to solve a problem that maybe do not require the technology to be properly solved.
Okay, I agree. Speaking about technology and it being used as a tool, what are some of the tools our university has to offer to the participants?
Well, I think that the preparation that our students have and the combination of the profiles that we offer here, having people that is able to work with data and to analyze the data, prepare mathematical models using that data to predict things is an important asset, but also the possibility of building electronic devices in order to measure things, um, or to build robots that may not only measure but to think and act on an environment to solve something is also an important aspect of us. So what I would like to see is that in the adequate cases, the students are able to um, decide where to use which tools in order to better solve something.
Okay.
Thank you, Dr. Gildardo, and to be here with us. It was an honor to
A real honor.
yeah. And well, as you could hear, these guys, these students from UPY, are facing these difficult challenges. They have the tools that UPY offers them, and they should take the advantage of it. And Dr. Tilidardo, thank you for support everything, because you didn't know it, or maybe you could see it, but Dr. Gildardo was talking with the guys and advising them. So that's pretty good.
Yes.
Dr. Gildardo, it's a nice human being. Thank you. Thank you
All
for
right. Thank you
here.
very much for being here.